はい、前回動画で2本、シグノスの三原さんに来てもらって、レンディングサービスの特徴だったりリスク、見分け方みたいなことについて話をしたんですけど、今回は、シグノスの CTO で共同創業者の、ベンに、来てもらっています。で、ベンは、あまりこういう番組とかに出たことが多分過去なかったので、知ってる人はほとんどいない気がするんですけど、実は自分はベンと2014年くらいのミートアップ、ビットコインミートアップくらいの時から知り合いで、かなり自分より長くビットコインに関して関わっていたイギリス人の、ビットコイナーというか、先輩ですね。ビットコイナーの先輩みたいな人なので、彼にちょっと今シグノスでどんなことをやっているのかとか、彼の過去のビットコインの経験とか、最近のトレンドについての意見とかを聞いていこうと思います。ただ、ここから先のインタビューは基本的に全部英語でやって、後で日本語の字幕をつけようかなと思っています。というわけで、英語でやっていきます。Okay, so I explained the background a little bit in Japanese first. And hi, Ben.
Hey,
it's been a
how's it
while.
going? How's it going?
Good. It's been a while. Last time we spoke was like 2 years ago or something.
Yeah, I think so. With Nicholas in Shibuya somewhere, I think.
Right, Shibuya.
Yeah.
We introduced you as like my Bitcoiner senpai, basically.
Okay.
Because the first time I attended Bitcoin meetup in Tokyo, I think you were already there and we talked a little bit. And at the time you were working on your own wallet called Ninki Wallet, right?
Right, that's correct.
Yeah. I remember it was very cool. I remember that. So
right.
You were like, I remember you would help me set up Ninki Wallet and send me some Bitcoins. Which
really? Okay.
I still may keep it or maybe
it's probably worth a lot now, right? Wow.
Yeah, might have been worth a lot.
I wonder how much I gave away that night. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't think the audience knows about you yet. So can you explain your background and your career background and how you got into Bitcoin and stuff like that first?
Sure. Yeah. So I've lived in Japan for quite a long time. So I think I first came here 2001, something like that. And but I've been living here solidly for probably for about 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I got into Bitcoin around 2013-ish, sometime around then. And at the time I was working at an investment bank, actually at Citi, on an interest rate trading desk. But I kind of got really into Bitcoin and set up an online wallet service, Bitcoin wallet service called Ninki Wallet, which we launched in around 2014. And so the idea of this was it was one of the first kind of multi-signature wallet services. So the idea was to bring a super secure wallet to kind of normal Bitcoin users.
Right.
So,
That was probably the first multi-sig Bitcoin wallet on mobile, right? If I remember correctly.
I think that's correct. I think there was Green Address, which was subsequently bought by Blockstream, and we were kind of around similar time. So and also at the same time there was BitGo, but they didn't have a mobile solution. So the idea of this was you could set up your wallet at home on your desktop, but then you could still go out with your phone and use it and set things like spending limits and different security policies for when you're using your phone, and still keep your main stash in the same system.
So going back to why did you come to Japan in the first place? For work?
First place.
At the first, yeah.
So a long time ago, when I was a student in the UK,
mm-hmm.
I had a Japanese girlfriend, and I used to come to visit her in Japan, and then eventually I just loved Japan, so I stayed here. Basically.
Yeah, that's all it happens usually.
Right.
so it was not really for work. It was more like
it wasn't for work.
Reason.
Like I had like good job in the UK. I was a IT contractor, so I used to just move around jobs doing different software projects in the UK. So when I came to Japan, it was kind of like starting again from zero. Like the software industry is very different here to how it is in the UK. Much more kind of formal, much more difficult to get a job. So one of the only places I found I could kind of get in and get a decent job was the finance industry here, because there were a lot of American banks and European banks here. So that's kind of the route I took. Yeah. But for a while, I worked at Japanese software companies, like small Japanese startups. But I was kind of like, it was kind of like starting again almost. It was like kind of low paid, and it would be me and like maybe a couple of Indian guys, a couple of Chinese guys, and we'd be like in the sweatshop, like coding away, this kind of thing.
How did it go? I'm just curious, because I kind of started over again. Like I live in Taiwan now, right? I didn't know the language or everything. I actually like kind of starting over again, like starting from zero.
Right.
Sometimes it's kind of a good experience, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just curious because I've gone through similar experience before as you. So did you like it, or do you still like Japan, or like, or you're like, whatever?
No, I love Japan. I mean, I came back and forth to Japan for about 4 or 5 years, working in the UK and coming out here. And every time I went back to the UK, I missed Japan more and more. And then eventually I just didn't want to go back to the UK at all. So I just stayed here. Yeah. So it kind of grew on me. Now I can't actually imagine living anywhere else. But
that's cool.
But Tokyo, really. But yeah.
Well, what do you like Japan the most? I mean, food is good. I always think food is.
I guess the food is amazing. Like the quality of the food. I think it's such a the society generally. I mean, I find some incredible in terms of how civilized it is, and you know, compared to like the UK.
It's not civilized in UK. I don't think so. No.
Well, you know, it's like so safe here. There's such little crime. I mean, in that kind of sense. You know, you have kids here. It feels like a very good place to bring up kids. And yeah, I can't really imagine living anywhere else now. Being here for so long.
I see. I mean, it's kind of off note, but at Tokyo Bitcoin meetup before, like it's kind of gone now, but like in 2014, 15, 16 ish, there were a lot of so-called expats, foreigners living in Japan, and maybe some have a family in Japan, etc. I always wondered how they ended up in Japan.
Right.
It's like, why are they here? They always kind of have an interesting story, so I love asking this question.
Yeah, there's always a funny story behind it.
There's always like, I kind of still do the same thing now in a different country. I do it myself. It's kind of, they always ask me, why are you here? Like, why not? Kind of thing. It's pretty funny.
Sure. Yeah.
Anyways, then my question is, so you started, you moved to Japan and you were working at a financial institution at Citibank, I guess.
Yeah.
And how did you get into Bitcoin? What made you interested in it? I've never asked you this before.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, I would exactly remember, but I was always kind of curious about it, even like way before 2013. I'd read a bit about it, but it just didn't kind of click with me. And then I think I must have just read something one day and it all kind of clicked, and I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. I think I read about it properly, like how the mining mechanisms worked and that kind of thing. And it just kind of clicked with me, and then I just became totally obsessed with it, just reading everything and anything I could find about it, and looking at the source code, and looking at what was out there and trying to build things with it and that kind of thing. Yeah.
You got interested as an engineer, as a technologist, or some people are more interested in like economics or monetary policy and that kind of stuff?
I'd say it was like I don't know, like 70% the technology and like the solution to the problem, but also the 20% or 30%, the politics did appeal to me a lot, like the idea of the of having something out of government or powerful control that could just run, and there was nothing they could do about it, and it was a technological solution that enabled that. Was amazing. It's like okay, yeah, technology guys rule. You know, these kind of power brokers or government wouldn't be able to stop it. And just that in itself, yeah, that appealed a lot.
I see. No, I 100% agree, and that was sort of my motivation, like the reason I kind of got into it as well, at least part of it. But it's not a very popular view in Japan, I guess.
Right.
That doesn't resonate with most Japanese people, I guess.
I see.
Or maybe Asian culture in general.
I see.
Yeah.
Right.
But I 100% understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, for me that was the entire point of Bitcoin was, you know, it can't be censored, it can't be stopped. You know, there's no one with control over it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's still practically the same reason why you are still involved in doing stuff with Bitcoin and crypto in general.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy working in crypto, although the industry's kind of taken off and changed a lot since, and it didn't go in the direction I thought it was going to go or at all, and it's ended up in a totally different place, and the opportunities to do business are in kind of different areas to what I expected. But I love developing and building around Bitcoin, so yeah, I can't shake off the bug, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but before joining Cygnos, you were working for BitBank for a little while. Right?
Yeah. So after Ninky Wallet, I kind of ducked out of the whole scene for a bit. I got a little bit burnt out, like too much Bitcoin, too much debating, especially around the whole time of the split with you know, between Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash and all that kind of stuff. I kind of got burnt out by the whole thing, and so I took some time out, and then I started to come back in and do some kind of freelance work and consulting, and then I ended up working at BitBank for probably around a year or so, something like that. And then I was just part of the dev team, you know, just doing just good old Bitcoin development and that kind of thing. But that's where I started talking with Mihara-san about like kind of lending, Bitcoin lending business or crypto lending business. And I kind of missed the whole, I missed my job at Citigroup a little bit in terms of, you know, interest rates and finance and risk analysis and all that kind of thing. So, you know, the more we talked about it, the more interested I was in like, okay, I'd heard about the whole kind of institutional scene that had happened in Bitcoin since I left. So there's all these kind of institutional lenders in the US and kind of big institutional players. You know, there was this hedge funds getting into it and all that kind of thing, which is very much crossing over into the world that I was in before at Citi. So I was kind of really curious to kind of, you know, see what was going on kind of in this world. And so yeah, so that was Cygnos, and we decided to launch this kind of interest rate business. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You're actually a perfect match for the job. Like.
Right. Kind of, and that was kind of what made me think like, okay, yeah, this is kind of perfect. I'm interested in both areas like a lot, and there's a lot of technology involved, but also a lot of knowledge of finance required, and both on the crypto side and on the traditional side somewhat, because it's kind of traditional. It's CeFi, you know, it's like centralized finance within crypto. So so yeah, it was hard to resist the opportunity.
So what do you do for Cygnos exactly now?
So basically, I'm in charge of building out the technology infrastructure and software, security processes, and all the kind of back-end processes to do the interest rate calculations and computations and all that kind of thing. So yeah, my role is a CTO basically. So I mean, we're a startup, so it covers everything from infrastructure to, what's our security strategy and
for interest rate calculation, you said, right?
Interest rate calculation, like back-end processes, all that kind of stuff.
Well,
yeah,
it's a lot.
There's a lot. Yeah, it's interesting because it's like building a mini bank in a way. Like you have to have all the same kind of processes. Back office, front office. You have the site for retail. You have you have all the security involved. So it's very interesting.
I want to ask you a little bit more about the security of Cygnos, and I read on the website it says it uses Fireblocks for security or something like that, but I'm not familiar with this Fireblocks thing. So can you elaborate on that a little bit? How do you guys ensure that the money you guys receive from the customer is safe and what
Right. So so Fireblocks is kind of one of the industry standard wallets. Basically, it's a kind of wallet service platform, not a million miles away from what I built back in 2014. However, there's a few things that are much better about it. And kind of when we were starting the company, do we try and build our own thing? But looking around at the market and how mature it had become since I was kind of last looking at it, there were solutions out there that were just really, really good, and Fireblocks was one of them. And it has a really great security architecture. They use this system. It's kind of like multi-sig, but it's not. It's multi-party computation. So you can basically take a private key but distribute it into many different parts, and you can build kind of multi-sig type processes around that. So you need 3 signatures to authorize this transaction. You need this person and this person to sign and authorize this transaction. And the great thing about it is it's kind of protocol agnostic. So it's not like multi-sig is part of the Bitcoin protocol, but this is protocol agnostic. So we could scale out to many different tokens or coins, altcoins, and whatever, basically, and keep the same security processes in place. So that was very important, because I think that I see some hacks happen and things happen. I can see exchanges or people, they've tried to kind of add many different tokens and coins and protocols to their services. And, if you're trying to engineer all of that yourself, you can end up making mistakes and having to introduce different kind of security processes for different coins and things like that. So for me, it was a no-brainer when I looked at it. Like, this is kind of best of class, and it's used by pretty much all the major institutions in the States also. So all the major players are using it. And that's one of the things it provides. It provides an internal network so that you can all transact securely with each other just within Fireblocks. So you don't have to be passing around addresses or communicating with your institutions that you deal with once you've established your initial setup. If you remember, Ninky Wallet was kind of like that. You could add people to your network and you never had to exchange addresses again. So, I was very impressed with many of the features that they had. So
I see.
So yeah.
So without using that, you would have to build your own cold wallet security.
Yeah.
And also you have to transfer to other wallets, which there's always some risk there as well, right?
Exactly. You would be, you would have to build something yourself from scratch. And you would have to be adapting and changing that for new types of coins, new types of tokens and everything. And and in the old days, back in 2013, you would have had to have done that. Everybody was doing that, writing their own kind of their own proprietary thing. But now I think that the services are out there, the industry is mature, and the best way is to use them. Use what's out there.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. No, it makes sense. I didn't know that Fireblocks. I didn't know about Fireblocks. So that's some cool stuff. That especially that you can use it for different coins, not just for Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly. I think they support over 200 coins, tokens, and they have no problem adding different ones. And
I see.
And that covers many different protocols as well, like EOS, Ripple, Stellar, all these kind of things too, as well as the usual Bitcoin-based coins.
Okay. So lastly, I want to ask you a little bit more about CeFi, centralized finance versus decentralized finance. You touched on it a little bit, but what you guys are doing is basically centralized finance using cryptocurrency.
Yeah, what we're doing is we're trying to bring kind of traditional financial products to crypto, and our first product is is a loan product. You can earn interest on your crypto, so you don't you own some crypto. You're not necessarily trading it. You don't want to sell it, but you want to earn some interest on it. You can simply deposit it with us like a bank account and earn interest. And it's very simple and straightforward. And the kind of the main difference with between this and something like DeFi would be like, it's like you have a contract with us. It's a lending contract. It's very simple. It's in Japan, and the legal aspects are covered by the traditional law infrastructure. So I think for somebody who's your average Bitcoin holder or investor, it's a very straightforward, simple thing. And to deal with something like DeFi, I think it's so kind of complicated in terms of the risks involved and the knowledge you kind of need to engage with it. But I don't actually see our service competing with that really. I think they're kind of there for two different markets or two different solutions. Yeah.
I'm just curious. Have you used some DeFi services applications before?
No, I have not. No, I've never lent anything to DeFi. I've just as part of working at Cygnos, I've just done some research into how it all works, and I can see the different kind of mechanisms and risks involved.
Well, I just want to play devil's advocate a little bit, but DeFi is you said it's a little bit complicated, but it's just different from CeFi, traditional finance, right? But they yield higher returns, at least at the moment, and a lot of people actually earn a lot of money using DeFi, right?
Sure.
So, and then some people even claim that DeFi will eventually eat up CeFi as well. So what's your take on that? I mean, and then as a matter of fact, for example, decentralized exchange DEX trading volumes getting bigger and bigger, and sometimes it's bigger than something like Coinbase, right? So what's your view on that, and what do you think is going to happen eventually to DeFi and maybe to CeFi eventually?
Well, with DeFi, I don't really know enough about it to comment on like where it's going or anything, but from what I understand of looking at it, it's essentially an Ethereum contract. So for a for someone to confidently kind of engage in that protocol, that you would have to kind of audit that contract and understand exactly how it's working. And you know, within that, there's all kinds of risks in terms of like obviously contract risk, like basic stuff like bugs and things like that. But also, I think there's risks there in terms of like hidden risks. Can the contract be gamed? Is there something in there that developers not figured out, etc.? And does the person, you know, lending to this contract, do they understand those risks, or can they understand those risks? I think if you're kind of really into Ethereum and that kind of thing, and you're in the game and you understand it, you know, I'm sure it's a great way to make money. But I think for just the average investor at the moment who has some Bitcoin, wants a return on it, I don't think it makes sense. I mean, even me as a developer, I would be, you know, it would take me a long time to study and understand what was going on, especially if you want to hold Bitcoin and keep your return on that. Like I was looking at the lending Bitcoin to DeFi, and basically you have to sell your Bitcoin into some other token. And
WBTC, right?
WBTC, which is another token, another thing altogether. So you're there. So that's risk number one. You have risk to this BTC stablecoin. You know, then you're going to lend it into this contract, so you have the contract risk there. Then you know, is this contract going to behave correctly? So you have that kind of gaming risk there. And often it depends on the protocol. Like I said, you've got to look at each contract and exactly what it's doing. But often the interest is paid in yet another token. So you have a market risk introduced again there. So you know, that's 4 or 5 risks.
Of course.
You know, 4 or 5 moving parts. So sure, if you know what you're doing, you know, great. But that's a lot to look at. You know, if somebody just simply wants to get a nice 3% solid return on their BTC, I think, you know, CeFi at the moment is a better option.
It's
the future, you might be right. You know, this could become so mature. There's some contracts could become so stable and so well and used so much that everyone has huge faith in them, and the markets could become so stable that the risk is a lot lower. But I'm not sure. And then on top of that, you know, you kind of have to believe in Ethereum as well to do all that kind of thing. If you're just a Bitcoiner, if you just want to hold Bitcoin and you're actually short Ethereum, or you don't believe in Ethereum, you don't necessarily want to convert all your Bitcoin over to that protocol, just the esoteric protocol risk of Ethereum, for example, like the DAO and these kinds of things. Should I say that?
Well, yeah. Well, I don't know if many of the audience remembers that, or maybe they're not there. But anyway,
right. Yeah.
I guess my understanding is that, you know, what you're saying, like there's a lot of risks involved with DeFi, and an individual investor like me, for example, if I want to do it, I guess I can do it at my own risk, and probably my risk assessment is not great, but I'll probably just do it, just
see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. That's what most people seem to be doing, at least to me. I don't really use DeFi myself as well, because there's a lot I need to unpack, and it's just a lot of things I need to understand, right? And but some people do it, and I think that's fine. It's kind of like an individual decision, whatever. But the last question I'm going to ask you, I guess, is that do you think institutions would eventually, well, not eventually, let's say like this year or next year, like in a shorter time period, will be comfortable using DeFi to earn interest or not? Because some people claim that, and I think it's kind of a
I don't think so. I think what you might have is intermediaries there. This is just my idea, but you might have intermediaries there that manage all that, but you know, provide the traditional institutions and companies with a legal contract that acts as kind of some kind of normal loan or finance agreement, and have specialists that manage all these kind of small risks and stuff. All these kind of different risks. I don't see like big corporations like investing directly in DeFi protocols anyways anytime soon.
Got it.
I mean, just look at even with Bitcoin, even just holding Bitcoin, many big institutions don't want to do it. Hence, you have demand for ETFs or like Grayscale and these kind of funds where people can get exposure to Bitcoin without actually having to hold it or interact with Bitcoin's blockchain directly. And that's something as simple as Bitcoin. We're not getting into these kind of smart contract protocols at all. So yeah, I would think that's a long way off. I would imagine.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. No, thank you. Thank you for sharing your perspective on it. It's very interesting.
You're welcome.
A lot of DeFi fans, I mean, not me. I don't really understand it, to be quite honest. But they are not really from financial career. They don't really have that background, and they're just kind of excited about, eventually institutions are going to use it, etc.
Right.
And it's the future of finance kind of thing. And I mean, maybe they have some point, but at the same time, I just wanted to ask someone like you who has actually that background and understands what institutions do under the hood, right? And I think it's very valuable. Okay,
great. Thanks.
Cool. Yeah, pretty much it. But is there anything else you want to say about Bitcoin or anything in general?
No,
news?
I don't have anything specific to say. Just I'm kind of glad to be back a little bit in the
In the scene. I'm really glad to see you back. Actually, I know you were kind of away for a little bit.
Yeah, and hopefully after the lockdown stop and everything, there'll be more meetups again and stuff like that. Let's see. Next time you're here, we can meet up at the Bitcoin meetup maybe.
Yeah, cool. Sounds good. All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Ben. Yeah.
All right.
I'll definitely talk to you later in the future. Maybe in Roppongi again someday. Someday.
Yeah.
Sometime in the future.
Exactly.
Probably not. Yeah, not anytime soon. But
anytime soon. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Thank you so much, and I'll definitely talk to you later.
Okay. All right. Goodbye.
Have a good day.